once every 10 minutes. That Google thing, you can't get rid of them. They stick their connections in everywhere. Once every 10 minutes.
Okay, Perry, we're live.
Okay. All right. I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right. So we're going to move right into recognition for our valedictorian and salutatorian. So
are they here?
I think they're supposed to be.
Don't see them.
I don't see them either.
Fountains there.
I'm on my phone, so I can only see one person at a time anyway. My computers don't work.
Put them on
anymore.
second call.
Yes, the
Yes.
Fountain family is here.
I'm here.
Hey.
Skylar should be getting on. I can text her. She should be getting on. We're not at home, so let me give her a text.
Make sure she joins the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, she gave me the link. I'm at swim team, so let me text her right now. Hold on. Mute myself here.
Did you get responses from Alice? Cheryl?
I just looked into the Google Meet and I see that Alice is in there and Skylar is as well. I'm gonna pop in and tell them to come to the Zoom.
Yeah. I don't care if we have to carve them in stone tablets and send them out. We got to get rid of that. This is becoming far too regular a habit of finding people in Google.
Well, welcome, Chris and David. I see you on there, so welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
We're glad you guys could join us to see this well-oiled machine just hum along.
I thought the Zoom Google Meet might be a hazing test, Cheryl.
What's that?
Actually, after this is over, Cheryl goes into TikTok and we'll take your faces and do some video stuff with it. It'll be good. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Oh, there's Alice. Hi, Alice. And do I see Skylar? Well, all right. Well, why don't we get started?
Here's Skylar. Hold on, Carrie. Skylar's coming in.
Okay.
There we go.
I think I might be out of space or something here for people. Oh, there we go. Ah, there we go. All right.
Anybody else lose Perry?
Yep.
No, I got him. Oh, yeah, there he went.
He's on mute.
Yep.
No, he was, but he wasn't
Oh,
initially.
he's back now. He's back.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not as loud as before.
Nope, not working.
Cheryl, I just got a message that we're not streaming. I know you set it up, but you're muted.
We're live on YouTube.
I know.
I have
That's
it.
what it's got a message that if you click off the website to it, it's just connecting to wait.
Wonder if it's doing that delay thing
I don't know.
with the new channel.
I have to, because I can't seem to get my microphone. You guys hear me at all?
Poor. You're gonna have to very poorly.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, hopefully it stays that way. All right. Firstly, Alice and Skylar, wanted to just take a few minutes to say how proud we are, you guys, to be able to do what you've achieved in the last few years is nothing short of remarkable. So we wanted to hear from you guys. Talk about what your thoughts about Millbrook, your thoughts about your education, what you plan to do next. This is really us trying to celebrate what you guys have been able to accomplish and what you'll accomplish in the future. So, Alice or Skylar, if you can find the unmute. Can you guys unmute? There you go.
Personally, I'm going to the University of Virginia next year, and I'm planning on majoring in aerospace engineering.
Nice. Do you think, how well do you think has Millbrook prepared you for it? Not just, and it's hard to say anymore with college life being slightly as strange as everything else in the world. But how well do you think you're prepared? Are you ready for it?
I'd like to think that I'm pretty prepared for it. Obviously, there's no way of being socially prepared going from such a small school to a massive school now, but I think growing up in such an environment has kind of put me in a good position to academically go there, but also be able to accept that change.
Very good. And Skylar, how about you?
I'm going to New Paltz next year, and I'm majoring in communication disorders to become a speech pathologist.
Very nice. Is that something you've always wanted to do?
I mean, it's newish, but I just wanted a job that involved communication in some type of way. And I also want to work in a school, and I think that'll give me that.
Well, both of those schools are excellent. And like I said before, we really just wanted to take an opportunity for the board and as many of the administration as possible to just tell you how proud we are of you guys. I mean, I can't imagine how hard you've had to work just to make things work, find things, get into things that in the past probably would have been second nature. And I think hopefully that also prepares you for inevitable changes in college. I work in Villanova, and we're in, we're out, the courses, and they've always been that way. A lot of the courses are the ones I teach remotely. So any comments from the rest of the board? Questions? I'm looking around for board members.
Congratulations, you guys. Great job.
Good luck.
Good luck in
Congratulations.
the future. That's great.
you.
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Skylar, Alice, you were both a pleasure to have way back in 7th grade, and I'm glad to see that you're moving on to great things. So don't look back, have lots of fun. Don't tell us everything, okay?
Come back and tell us the stuff you think we can handle. Well, anyway, Alice, Skylar, I don't want to cut you short, but I thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us, for us to, just be amazed by what you guys have accomplished and what you're going to accomplish in the future. It's easy to see the road ahead. So please have fun. Try to enjoy yourselves as much as possible while studying really hard. And hopefully we'll see you again very soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Next, we have the opposite, I don't want to say opposite end, but folks that are leaving us after providing so much value and so much, just so much heart and soul to Millbrook Central School District. So, they're in our agenda. Laura, did you want to go through them, or do you want me to go through them?
You can go through them. Everybody's prepared with some kind words and support and congratulations. Seem good.
Roseanne, 3 years. It seems like just yesterday, but congratulations on moving on. I know this has been a tough period. Pamela, Sarah, Heidi, Bill. I don't even know how to say, that we're gonna go to school and you guys aren't gonna be there. It's sort of, it ages us very quickly to see that. Arlene, Rich, Patricia, I just, like I said, you guys have given your heart and your soul to the Millbrook Central School District. You've made it what it is today. You're leaving humongous shoes to fill. So I don't know if anyone else has anything they want to add to that.
So I'm prepared. Go ahead.
I'll jump in. So I had a couple words for Roseanne. So good evening, everyone, first of all. But our nursing team in Millbrook is fantastic. Dealing with such a heightened situation this year in particular. Roseanne Halverson's an important member of the team in every aspect. And I appreciate how the nurses call each other to maintain a consistent effort between all of our schools. One of our staff members said that Roseanne is so welcoming to children, always with a good morning, or hey, I like your shoes, or what are you reading today? Coming up with students returning from illness with a, how are you feeling today? Very consistent in those things. Roseanne's been one of our first staff members to greet student arrivals at our parent drop-off each morning and assist with their pickup at the end of each day. Her commitment to students has made a difference at Alden Place. For our 5 nurses, like a basketball team, kind of odd to think of them as a basketball team. I don't know what we might call Roseanne's position. I was thinking of maybe point guard, maybe power forward, center. Probably not center because we have much taller people. So anyway, we don't know what her position, but we do know that her position is important. She did the job well for us. We're confident in our nursing team when the ball is in their hands. And we thank Roseanne for her 3 years at Alden Place and hope for the best in her retirement. I also had Tucci, if I could just get into that one too. So I didn't check as to the date that Heidi first started working in Millbrook schools, I think 1995, but it's hard to believe that she has 26 years in the district. Heidi worked at all levels for us, K through 12. She directed over 200 concerts. She worked with over 2,000 of our students, creating a love and appreciation for music through vocal and instrumental instruction. One of her colleagues said that Heidi is unbelievably amazing with kids. Original songs, drama productions, talent shows, NYSSMA support, and motivation to perform. One of her classroom posters says, don't decide you can't before you discover that you can. And she builds a belief that all can be musically successful in a variety of ways. At first, I was thinking of Heidi's got the #1 parking spot in our Alden parking lot. And so I was trying to think of, I wonder who wants that spot. It's closest to the door. But I really want to focus on that Heidi's commitment to and energy with our students will be difficult to match. At Flag Day and moving up for 5th grade, Heidi will direct her final groups with us. And we again thank Heidi for 26 years in Millbrook schools and hope the best for her in retirement.
If I can jump in here, a little segue, as Ms. Tucci has spent a lot of time in my building as well. I want to thank her. She always transitions so beautifully from the elementary schools to the middle schools and the middle schools back down again. So I definitely want to put in my 2 cents on everything Heidi has done to the music program from the elementary school all the way through these awkward middle levels where she gets our students. So thank you very much, Heidi. I want to speak a little bit about Bill Yeager, and I'm going to be very direct because I think nothing embodies Bill Yeager's impact on our students more than just looking at our 2 students today. And we have a valedictorian going on to an engineering college. And, you know, it was just 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Bill, I'm not sure. I know she was in your principles of engineering class. I remember going up and seeing her in that room back then. It's no surprise to me that she's the valedictorian of our high school now, and that she's going to be pursuing much bigger and more important endeavors in engineering. And I know that that started with Bill Yeager in 6th grade and that love for science. And it grew as she joined him in Principles of Engineering and some other courses. I just think when you talk about Bill Yeager, the proof is in the pudding. And seeing students like Alice is just one of the thousands of examples throughout our district. So for that, Bill, thank you so much.
I could jump in. So I get the pleasure to speak briefly about Mrs. Jones Guida. So Mrs. Jones has taught for 32 years. What an unbelievable accomplishment. I really wish a student was on our panel tonight because I'm afraid I'm going to do a disservice for the love and appreciation she deserves. Mrs. Jones is loved by every student she teaches. They have a profound respect for her and love her immensely. And that doesn't happen overnight, but year after year, when Mrs. Jones's name comes up, you get the same response from all of our students. She's so nice, I love her, and she's the best. So Mrs. Jones, if you're listening out there, you are the best. Thank you and congratulations. I also would like to discuss and recognize Mrs. Tomaseski. Like Mrs. Jones, she has taught for 32 years, I believe 31 years in Millbrook. Mrs. Tomaseski, another teacher that will be sorely, sorely missed. It's really remarkable when you think of teachers like Mrs. Tomaseski, who has taught in one building for so long and continues to have such a passion for teaching and an incredible impact on students' learning. She also brings a fun factor into her classroom on a daily basis, and I know I will miss visiting her classroom. Mrs. Tomaseski always tells me science rocks. Mrs. Tomaseski, you rock. Congratulations.
And
And I have the pleasure of speaking about Miss Rizzo. So Sarah Rizzo has been here for about 3 decades. She's taught so many students to read and write and to just love school. She's been part of their first introduction into school. So that's really an amazing opportunity that she has had to impact so many students just as they are learning to be students and learners. So that's very exciting. I don't think she would mind me saying, but she's actually had the opportunity to have generations of students at this point, and to welcome them into the Millbrook Central School District. One thing you know about Miss Rizzo's class is she has those annual projects that students just absolutely love. One of them is raising the chicks, and that inspires a love of animals and agriculture. And that's just one of the many amazing things that she has done, and really awakening students to the subject of science at such an early age. So she's a very strong advocate for her students. Mrs. Rizzo is on top of them. She takes tons of data and she uses it to be able to advocate for them getting exactly what they need to be successful. She's an anchor to our elementary team and has been for a long time. She provides that stability, and she is going to be sorely missed. One thing that you might not know about Miss Rizzo is that even during the pandemic, she still made sure that her students had exactly what they needed, making sneaky little trips to their houses to drop off supplies and pick up work that they needed to turn in that they weren't able to submit online. So even in a pandemic, she rose above to make sure that her kiddos had exactly what they needed. So though we will be welcoming new staff, no one will replace Sarah. So thank you so much for your time and service.
So good evening, everybody. I could jump in here. I'm going to speak about Rich Mirabella. So Rich has been with us since October of 1999. Rich was a daytime custodian for many years, and then there was an opportunity for Rich to be able to become the district's courier. Rich knew his job well, and he was helpful to anyone who needed his services. Rich worked in and knew all of our buildings really well, and we were able to count on him for any coverage wherever and whenever it was needed. So we thank him for his many years of service, helping to provide a safe learning and working environment, and we wish him many years of health and happiness in retirement. And I also have the pleasure of speaking to Arlene Looney. So Arlene has been in our district since I was 12 years old. Arlene worked in our food services department, providing healthy and delicious meals for all of our kids. And in addition, she truly made herself part of the fabric of our overall school community. Arlene was a student government advisor, and she may have chaperoned more sporting events than anybody else in our school's history. So in our food services program, Arlene provided stability, profound knowledge, and tremendous amounts of care for our students, literally for decades. In transition, when the previous school lunch manager resigned without notice, Arlene unsurprisingly provided all the leadership we needed until Holly was hired. So Arlene's work ethic and love of students eventually landed her the lauded Anderson Award, and she was also the recipient of this year's Middle School Community Service Award. So Arlene, thank you for everything, and we wish you decades of health and happiness in your retirement.
And I just wanted to say, although brief and during very strange times, I wanted to thank you for your service. I wish you all relaxation, family, friends, and a hint of adventure, if not a lot of adventure. I wish you were staying a little longer so I can continue learning from you. But please know you're always part of the family, the Millbrook family, and the doors are always open to you. So use them, come and visit us often, and tell us what you've been up to.
On behalf of the MTA, would it be appropriate for me to do this now, or should I wait? Okay, so on behalf of the MTA, I'd like to thank our retirees. You've dedicated your lives to this profession and this place. Your colleagues love you and will miss you. And what you've given us you could have never given anyone else. So we thank you. We wish you all the best. And we're glad you spent this time with us. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And I'm still uncomfortable with calling most of you by your first name, just because I've grown up with, oh, that's Mr. Yeager. Oh, that's Mrs. Rizzo. It feels so weird to call you guys by your first names. And Sarah, I just wanted to ask you, how did you ever work it out so that you started teaching almost immediately after my son was past the grade you were going to teach in?
I was staying home with children.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah. Congratulations to all of you. And I actually have the unpleasant duty of recognizing the retirement of two of our board members. Claudia's been with us for 3 years, and maybe, I guess, if you're only here for that short a period, maybe you're just tired, you're not retired. John has been with us, how many years, John? 21?
Yes.
21 years. And really, between the two of them, it has become just a really good mix of focus and effort. I can't imagine, the amount of time that John has given to this district. Has really been the father of our policies. Has helped me figure out, what this is even all about. So Claudia and John, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done, for all the hours you've put in, for, all the gas mileage, leaving work to drive here to do, to go on some adventure. And I will truly miss you both. Anyone else had wanted to add anything?
Yes, John, you've been a shining star and a guiding light, not just to this board, but to other boards from the first time that I had the pleasure of seeing you in action at a prospective board members, countywide prospective board members function over at Duchess Bosse's. And I won't go into the first time I met you going back into 1981, but professionally on the board that you've been, like I said, you're an asset. You know the rules and the policies are your children, and we hope to take good care of them. And Claudia, in those 3 years, you have been you've been the pulse of this board. You have the pulse of the community, and you really know what's going on in and out of the schools, and you've brought items to the board's attention that we would not have learned otherwise. And I wish you both good luck in your next endeavors. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks, Perry.
Nice. Very nice.
Everyone. John.
I do want to say to the board members, John, I'm going to miss your seasonal beard and then your clean shave for the spring and your policy meetings. Claudia, I owe you a nice bag of peanut M&Ms. I will bring those to you personally. But thank you both for your service. John, thanks for teaching us all.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'll just say, look, it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with every one of you, and administration, all the past board members, community, teachers. It's great to collaborate with such a great group of people, and it's a very, very fine district. So let's keep it that way. Yeah, and lastly, the voters. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the right support. So thank you for these 7 terms.
Very good, John. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, John. All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's move on to tenure recognition.
I don't mind starting. The first candidate recommended for tenure this evening is Alejandra Godoy. Allie was first hired here as a leave replacement, and then she became an AIS teacher down at Elm Drive. She's also taught second grade, then she bounced to first grade, and then she looped back with those first graders into second grade this year. Allie's a very quiet leader at Elm Drive. She has become a building resource for technology, especially during this pandemic when there was such a heavy reliance on technology. We needed some folks right in the building to be able to do some quick sort of repairs until the help desk could respond. She's also embraced data and data-driven classroom instruction. Being able to collect that data on her students and make informed decisions for her instructional practices is one of Allie's strengths. She's also done an amazing job embracing the English language learners in her classroom. Allie is a native Spanish speaker, and she's been able to build their academic language in their home language when necessary, and then transfer it into English, which is really something that is an asset to Allie's teaching. Additionally, she's really been helpful on many of our committees. She's done a lot of translation to make sure that we can engage our Spanish-speaking families. So we really appreciate that from her. And we're super excited to see all of her accomplishments in the coming year. So congratulations, Allie.
Do I have a motion from the board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Congratulations.
Yeah, very good.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, my student teacher. I mean,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Any against? Okay, congratulations, Alejandra.
Thank you again. Thank you all.
All right, next is, let's see, where am I? Brittany Hillman.
Okay, so that's me. So in my brief time working with Miss Hellman, one thing that has remained constant when it comes to her as an educator is she is a go-getter in pursuit of her goals. She is always, always, always eager to help in any way, regardless of what it takes. She cares deeply for all of our students, current, previous, and incoming students, and wants each of them to reach their maximum potential. Ms. Hillman's also willing to serve on any committee, help any student, volunteer at any school event. She coaches multiple teams. And not to mention, she's a fantastic teacher. Congratulations, Ms. Hillman.
Very good. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Very good. Congratulations, Brittany.
Thank you.
Next is Brendan Lee.
Okay, that's me again. So Mr. Lee has been fantastic in my 3 years working with him. He is very flexible, as many of our teachers are here when giving the charge to take on new responsibilities. With the phasing out of our IB program, Mr. Lee was eager and willing to take on AP Physics and AP Computer Science classes and get the necessary training. He's always accepting of constructive feedback, and I really look forward to working with him for a very long time. Congratulations, Mr. Lee.
Good. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Give it to Chris.
Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, congratulations, Brendan.
Thank you.
All right, and I usually go, and that's it, and then the person that was waiting for tenure gets nervous, but I won't do that tonight. Next one is Lauren Prince.
Yes, please, Mr. Hartswick, do not do that to Mrs. Prince. So Mrs. Prince, I'm really lucky enough to share the main office with Mrs. Prince. I've had the opportunity to work with her and Mr. Chanowski very closely the past 3 years. We certainly have a lot of fun in our office, and part of it has to do with Mrs. Prince. But she works really hard, and I appreciate the balance. She certainly has many strengths, but I don't think I have ever met someone as organized and caring as Mrs. Prince. Certainly two qualities that are needed in school counseling, but in addition to her organization and caring of her students and others, she is extremely helpful with things that need to be done and not afraid to help out in any way. She's simply a tremendous asset to our school, and students trust her immensely. Congratulations, Mrs. Prince.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I'll make
So
a
moved.
motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any questions or comments? Very good.
Congratulations again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Very good. Congratulations, Lauren.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Could I speak to them on behalf of the MTA
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So newly tenured faculty, you've recently completed a fairly long journey, and congratulations. Welcome to the fully tenured team. You should be very proud, and thank you for being very easy to work with. We're lucky to have you. We look forward to having you for a long time. Thank you.
Very good. All right, so we're going to move on. There's a short, I'll call it soapboxing that I wanted to do. Before we go into the consent agenda, there's two items in the consent agenda that I think need a few words. The first is the administration and the Board of Education and the staff have done a tremendous amount of work to resolve some inequities that were in the food service salaries. It's been a not a tough discussion, but one that is well overdue, which is one of the reasons you're going to see that some of it's retroactive is because it was so well overdue. And I think, I just wanted to point out what a good piece of work I feel that this is. The second is, and I'm going to try not to get angry about it or upset about it, but one of the actions in the consent agenda is a letter to the governor. This district and every district in New York State is getting just nonsense out of the state, out of this guidance that we keep receiving. It's yet on us, and this is specifically related to masks. No, you don't have to wear them. Yes, you do. No, you don't. Well, maybe we changed our mind. Yes, you do, but we're not going to tell you when you can get out. It is just the biggest bag of nonsense that I've ever seen in my life. And I feel bad that some boards have been, just bashed about this when it's really trying to follow the bouncing ball that is the state, I'll call it authorities. So one of the items is for us to, write a letter to the governor, basically saying, just come on, do something, get off it, give us direction, stand behind it, clarify it, and move on. So I just wanted to make those 2 points before we go into the consent agenda. So with that, excuse me, is there anything that anyone wants pulled off of the consent agenda? Okay, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay. All right, correspondence, we have nothing other than the ever-growing wonderful guidance. From the president's standpoint, president's report, one of the things that I was really happy about was I got to meet the, well, he wasn't at the time, but the new superintendent for BOCES. This Jason appears to be, hopefully I got the right name right. Jason is an incredibly experienced superintendent, principal, assistant superintendent in a lot of the different areas that BOCES affects. He seems to have great plans for the training institute. We had, I want to say 2.5 hours worth of discussion with him about modernizing the curriculum there, focusing on, even the existing pieces, but focusing on, instead of just focusing on gas engines, focusing on solar or electric, focusing on solar, focusing on sustainability, but also looking to change the call it character of CTI. Is focusing on, this is a very good way for somebody to prepare for college. It's a great way to prepare for industry. I'm really looking forward to seeing where he's going to take BOCES once all the construction is finished. Right now it's kind of a mess, but I think that has such potential, and so does he. So that was really all I had from the president's side. Howard, did you have anything you wanted to go through?
Well, again, I want to welcome on the Zoom meeting our two board member elects, and thank you for joining us. And we look forward to you at the next meeting as board member elects, and then comes our meeting in July when you take your oath of office, and then you can officially, I guess, speak and come into our executive sessions and everything else. There's a lot for you to be catched up on, a lot for you to learn, and I'll try to do the best I can. Unfortunately, John was our to-go-to person, and hopefully he can still be there from a phone call away. But welcome to our two new board members elect.
Very good. Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. Just a couple of shout outs. The Spring Arts Festival last Wednesday, Millbrook High School held its annual Spring Arts Festival, which included performances by our chorus, jazz ensemble, and vocal and instrumental soloists, as well as the Spring Arts Show. The Spring Arts Show featured senior displays and students' work in photography, sculpture, digital art, and painting. And located on our website is a slideshow of the work that was on display, as well as senior displays and artwork from our remote students. So you might enjoy seeing what was produced over the past few months. I also want to say that the principals and Caroline have been working hard on identifying really stellar candidates to fill the positions that we have. So they continue the search, but you'll see later later on that we have identified some great additions to the Millbrook family. So thank you all for your hard work in doing that. And also summer school. We are having our summer school. There'll be reduced weeks. It'll be 4 weeks instead of 6. And we are still looking for summer staff. So if you know anybody who's interested, please have them contact Caroline directly. This week's events, tomorrow is high school's field day. Thursday, not tomorrow, I had tomorrow as noted for the National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony. It's middle school. It'll be taking place in the high school auditorium. So that's on Thursday. Friday is Flag Day at Elm. It was on Monday, then it was on Tuesday, and then all of this rain and weather has been messing with everybody's schedule. So it will be on Friday, weather permitting, and Alden students and Elm students will be in attendance. Middle school field days are next week. Grade 8 is on Monday, grade 7 is on Tuesday, grade 6 is on Wednesday. And then on June 23rd, we have Alden, the moving up ceremony. It's on the side lawn in the morning. On June 24th, we have middle school's moving up ceremony on the sports complex multipurpose field. And on June 25th, we have our high school graduation, and that's also at the sports complex. I just wanted to review football and the state of football. I know Al, our athletic director, recently sent out a letter to parents stating that due to a lack of interested players, we were not able to field a varsity 8-man football team in Millbrook for the fall of 2021. I think some feel that it was a little premature to make this call, but quite honestly, there's urgency behind making a decision. Reminders about submitting an intent to participate were made through huddle accounts, family ID, school announcements, and a meeting that took place with the players while making sure we were spreading the word to our parents and players, encouraging any players interested to sign up. Unfortunately, we didn't get the turnout that we needed, so we needed to focus in a merger direction. This is very similar to the girls soccer, JV and modified, girls lacrosse, varsity, JV, and modified softball, varsity, and baseball in previous years. We just don't have interest to have a football team this fall. So due to this lack of interest, Al and coaches began focusing on the merger. A merger takes time. A merger will require Dover's approval, Millbrook's approval, and will have to be approved and finalized by Section 9. We only have 2 to 3 more board meetings to make this happen, and the football practices start in mid-August, August 23rd to be exact. 2 out of the 13 athletes who have shown interest in playing football, which is less than our fall 2 numbers, have expressed interest in playing on a merged team. Things to consider are Dover's practices times. They start at 2:15, and also to consider is transportation. Is this something parents can commit to? Will there be a loss of instructional time for these students? Also part of this to note is that our students will have to try out and make the Dover team, so there are no promises right now. We also have been wondering why there is a lack of interest in sports at different times across the years, and this includes football right now. We thought we have seen the cropping up of more 8-man teams. Is it due to a lack of interest? Is it too dangerous? Is there an increase in concussions? Are there interest in other sports? Numbers are low for lacrosse as well. Soccer numbers are up. Last year, we didn't have enough players to create a varsity baseball team. And then this year, we were able to do all 3 levels. So I don't know if it's just an issue with just being a small district and we're spreading our athletes across multiple sports. Are there just popular sports at different times? We're not sure what kind of creates this pattern or lack of pattern or interest in certain sports over other sports at different times in a decade across the years. Al is looking for a coach who will build a modified program to help build a future JV and varsity teams. And we just wanted to bring this to your attention, sort of the rationale and the background behind why not football this year and other teams and sports in other years and more in this year, such as soccer. I also wanted to just say that we want the board, the families, the athletes, and community to know that we're very saddened that we don't have a football team this year. It's part of who we are. I know it's really important to the Millbrook culture and community, but it's difficult to create a team where there's not enough interest in building one. And on the other hand, we're actually busy we're unhappy about the increase in the interest of soccer. So I'm open to ideas or recommendations in how to really figure out, again, why not football this year, or why soccer is popular.
Or can I ask you a question? I don't want to interrupt. I just want to ask a question. So if we're able to do the merger, say with Dover, only 2 kids are interested in playing for them. So that would basically leave out 11 of our students that want to play that can't play, right? And we'd probably need, what, 5 to 7 additional kids in order to kind of field a healthy team, right? Is that kind of the idea of having 18 to 20, even on an 8-man team? I know we can do it with less, but, you know, so my thought is, I mean, I personally do think it's slightly premature, especially if it's, you know, 2 out of 13 students that would even be willing to do the, join team. I almost think there's better impact to have a team, give them the skills, give them the tools, and build it from there, whether they compete or not. You know, they might scrimmage, but, you know, you get a team together, their friends talk. I mean, once you go this route, it's harder to build it back up. But, I mean, that's my 2 cents. But.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, is there something in between, like, I remember well, it was Arlington, so it was easy, but even before you went into the high school, there was intramural, and, there was probably 8 intramural teams, but they were all, I think they were 8 or 9, I think they were 8-man teams. But, that was actually driving us to be, to want to play JV and varsity. I mean, is there a way that we can keep the ones that are motivated to play, keep them motivated, and or is it just, I don't know. I agree with you, Chris. I mean, just being able to somehow keep it going, because once you get rid of it, now you've got all these kids that need basic skills to, before they can even get started. I don't know. I mean, I'd really like to have, personally, not, I'm not speaking for the board, but personally, I'd like to have us take a look at some way, these kids that want to play, somehow to keep them engaged, without like trying to push them over to Dover. I mean, I have nothing wrong, no problem with them playing on a Dover team, but if there's some way for us to keep our kids engaged so that, because in a district like this, it goes in waves. We have one year we'll have a great soccer team. They're, doing all kinds of good stuff. And then a couple of years later, we only have like 2 kids that have ever played soccer before. But it's important to keep that momentum going.
Important. I agree with both Perry and Chris. You need to keep the skill set going, otherwise they atrophy. Not only atrophy in skills for the older players, for if they plan on moving on to a college team, but your younger players emulate your older players. They follow off of their skill set. So if we do no more than have a small, not even intramural, just a small bunch of players that do nothing but practice and throw the ball around, if they're willing to join the team just to keep their skills up, that might be something to explore.
So would you ask Al to take a look at, really think outside the box on what our options are? And I don't want to set up a one-man football team where he throws the ball to himself. But if there's some way that we can keep this going,
there's a lot of questions too, Perry. What's the minimum number of people for an 11-man football team? How many seniors do we have coming back? Are there 3 seniors? We can't go JV then. You have to stick to a varsity schedule. To not have a football program or a cheerleading program with a field like we have is a travesty. It's just not. And to go from 2 years ago to having 28 kids then go to 8-man, and then go to a COVID season, and then no season at all. I mean, in 4 years, and Laura's right. I don't know what's happening with the popularity. I'm in a different county, but I know I had 8 girls on the tennis team this year. I called up some parents. I talked to some people. We finished the season with 18 girls. Every place is different. I get it. I want to see parent letters. I want to see email blasts. I want to see in-person meetings. I want to see us max out and make sure that we've maxed out before we go from an 11-man football program back down to 8-man. I mean, I just, if 11 guys get one friend, it's 22 kids in a team. Now, can everybody play varsity football? I'm not saying that. I played football from 4th grade through college. Was the captain of Iona's team in 1984. I played a lot of football in my life. I'm telling you, every high school program should have a football team. It starts your year off. It starts the tone off for a building. It's really, really sad that we're just going and just cutting to this, and it's done with 3 or 4 more months to go.
Well, and it's not just
It's
football either. I mean, it's lacrosse has become huge. I mean, my granddaughter plays on a travel lacrosse team. So I understand, like, by the rules, maybe we don't have them, but there's other, I would hope there's other options, other ways of thinking about it. So I'd like to challenge you to go back without and figure this out. I mean, even the discussion we had, I don't know, a few months ago about how sports was going to bring our kids back to school. A lot of these kids only go to school to play sports, and then we can't even field a team. So, is there some other way we can engage them? All right.
Can I just add something real quickly? So just for some perspective, as a comparative study, in the fall of 2019, this is when we pre-pandemic, we had at Millbrook High School 131 students that expressed an intent to play a fall sport. This coming fall, we have 175 students that have expressed intent to play a fall sport. So our numbers are up, but it's just unfortunately that the students are not interested in football.
What are they playing, Eric?
Well, as Laura said in her report, we are now fielding 3 boys soccer teams. We're doing cross country.
Well, and sometimes it's a team, it's not the sport too. So you almost have to ask the kids why. I don't know. Sometimes it's more than just the sport where kids don't want to play. I guess I'll leave it at that.
And then just lastly, again, when I first joined Millbrook, we had 11-man football. And when we made the decision as a district to go 8-man football, there were only a handful of teams that were playing 8-man football. Look at the amount of teams in Section 9 that now currently have 8-man football. There's a lot. There's very few 11-man football teams in Section 9.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. I'm not even worried about. I just and maybe it's, and it would be interesting to hear from the students and the parents, why aren't there? What happened in 3 years? Because it seemed odd. I mean, and I can't. But I mean, of course, soccer has become like crazy popular. But it's and maybe it's all this concussion stuff, but I don't know. I would just like to somebody go back and take a look at it, talk to the parents and the students, find out, why can't we find enough kids to play football or lacrosse? I mean, why can't we? And I know we can't, even before the pandemic, we canceled lacrosse at least 1 year. But it would be good to know, and if there's anything we can do about it, if it really is sort of a motivator for these kids to go to school, then we should do whatever we can, even if it's a matter of, once we only play 3 teams because they're the only ones we can compete with. I don't know, but I'd really like to see us go back and take a much more in-depth look at what is happening with our sports program. What can we do? Why has it drifted so far, afield, if you will? All right.
Yeah, we'll meet with Al Hamill tomorrow, and we'll get some ideas together of how we can get that information from the community, and we'll be able to give it back to the board.
Yeah, and come back. I mean, if there's something missing, if I don't know, if we can help, please bring it back sooner than later.
I think the clarity to like what Mr. Sipe said, how many teams right now in Section 9 are 8-man football? Get data. Like we talk to teachers with data. How many teams have a varsity football program still? And, instead of just trying to go back right to varsity, at least go back to 8-man for this year and be able to do that. Then maybe build back up. You can't, fit a square peg in a round hole. If kids aren't signing up for football, I don't know what, we can't force that. But, the data shows there's concussions in soccer too. There's not that much of a difference with the amount of concussions, and soccer is a tough sport, man. So that's all. But I think those numbers are really important. And you're right, Mr. Sipe. In Section 9, there are a lot of 8-man football programs. I just think it's shocking to go in 3 years from having the program that we had. I know we lost the coach and the head coach has changed. I get that. But the numbers to drop like that, it's really bizarre. It's really.
Then the numbers he quoted us were actually up. If you look at all sports, it's just football tanked, and lacrosse. Well, I don't know if lacrosse has ever, gotten there, but and maybe when you talk to the students, maybe they'll tell you that soccer is just the in thing. I mean, the World Cup and all the rest of it. Maybe, I don't know, but it would be, before we give up on it, I guess is where I'm headed. Let's get feedback, information, whatever you want to call it. Look for options to, and then come back to us. Okay.
And not just from the kids, but the section has to have information. All the sections have to have information on what's going on, because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. They have to know why Section 8 grew the way they did, and they can help Al with some things as well. So not only reach out to our people, but like Paul said, get some data from the sections themselves.
Yeah. All right.
If I could ask about the numbers, I heard some numbers. I didn't hear the number. How many people were interested that could play for this team? I didn't hear the number.
13.
13, yeah.
13 asked to play? They could?
Just be mindful that at least 2 of them have never put on football pads before. They've never played football before.
And how many would you feel comfortable with for an 8-person team?
I mean, that's a conversation with the football coach and the personnel just to make sure our students are going to be safe. But that's just a larger conversation depending on our personnel.
Right.
And our first 8-man football season, we had 26 players to start the season and weren't able to finish. Just to give you some context, due to injury, we were not able to play out the season. And that was starting with 26 players. So 13 is half of that. And that leaves us in this position where, especially with 2 folks who have never played football before, we would need significant increase in numbers.
Right. Yeah, well, perhaps if the tree is shaken, something will fall. I don't know.
Carly, I'm assuming that you didn't lose all in the injury. It was probably academics as well, just to kind of be clear on that, right? As far as the 28 down to, no, you're saying it's all injury?
Was injury.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a tough season.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll gather that data for you. and prepare our report.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all in advance, and thank Al too. He's not here, but thank him.
Okay. So we have Julie here, our counsel, and thought that she could help us with just the mask guidance and how we're approaching it and how our council and our district physician have been guiding our practices and procedures here. So good evening, Julie.
Good evening, Laura. Good evening to everybody. So as you all know, we are constrained by the regulations of the New York State Department of Health, as well as the interpretation of our local health department, the Dutchess County DBCH is the acronym for it. So when Governor Cuomo had announced a few weeks ago via a letter from Dr. Zucker to, a letter from Dr. Zucker to the CDC that he was going to, unless they heard otherwise factual or scientific data to the contrary, allow masks to disappear both indoors and outdoors, it had created a massive confusion in the schools, only to be followed by a Monday morning rescission of any hope of indoor guidance being let up. Cuomo followed up with a lifting of essentially all mask mandates for everybody other than P12 schools today, based upon the state having reached 70% vaccination. One thing I missed on Monday, the state did say outdoors nobody needed masks, but indoors everything stayed the same, except to the extent that a person is unable to medically or psychologically tolerate a mask. Now, I have a Juris Doctor. I don't have an MD after my name, so I'm not competent to provide you medical advice, and you need to rely on your school district physician to provide medical advice. And he was not comfortable with receiving a letter that was from anyone other than a healthcare provider to substantiate a medical exemption from a mask wearing requirement. I want to know also that there were some districts that felt so strongly, I think most of them were on Long Island, that they actually voted in public on Sunday to lift the mask requirements indoors, irrespective of what was said by the New York State Department of Health, and notwithstanding the fact that all they were acting upon was a letter from Dr. Zucker to the CDC's director Walensky, and not an actual change in any legislative statute or any guidance or regulation from the Department of Health, which is the department that governs health and safety in the schools. Note that the New York State Education Department defers also to the New York State Department of Health in ascertaining what the medical parameters should be in the school system, largely based upon a lack of evidence regarding inside transmission and the fact that nobody under the age of 12 is even permitted to be vaccinated. The CDC strongly told the New York State Department of Health that they did not feel comfortable with lifting the indoor mask requirement. And the New York State Department of Health felt that it needed to defer to the strong recommendation of the CDC in deciding that masks would continue to be worn inside the school building through the end of this school year, notwithstanding an incredibly low positivity rate. Now, some other districts in this region and in other regions have written letters to legislators, to Governor Cuomo and to Dr. Zucker, seeking to ask for modification, not to engage in civil disobedience and not to overtly violate the law. You can't do that. That would be a breach of your fiduciary duty, but rather to advocate for changes to provide local flexibility, for example, in places where there is a high level of vaccination and a very low positivity rate. And that is a formula that Dutchess County happens to meet right now. So I know that other entities are also working to try to seek changes and be a little more wiggle room in the manner in which the guidance can be implemented, or in what level of latitude may exist at the local level. But as of now, we are still in a status where we must defer to the New York State Department of Health and local health department as informed by your school district medical inspector.
So Julie, the burden of proof is on the district as far as up to the district of how they get that, correct? And we left that to our physician.
Yes, the
Okay.
physician was specifically not comfortable with not having a medical healthcare professional provide documentation to substantiate a medical condition for which a mask is not tolerable, or a psychological condition, unless there was already something on file which substantiated it, in which case there wouldn't be a necessity to duplicate pre-existing documentation, which is consistent with the Americans with Disabilities Act as well.
So if we're, I mean, we're what, 2 weeks or not even 2 weeks from the end of school. Parents, I assume, especially if we get another one of those, 90-degree days, have the option of having their children basically tie in from remotely, right?
I would think
I
so.
guess it's
Yes.
okay. I mean, and what happens in summer school? I mean, so we're going to go to summer school or is it when they say the end of this school year, is that, a week and 3 days from now, or does that include summer school?
That's an excellent question. I would reasonably foresee some sort of change, but as of now, the guidance for schools goes into the summer, and the guidance for summer camps is different, which is the genesis of the Dr. Zucker letter in the first place. But as of now, I believe that summer school still requires masks unless, again, there's a medical intolerance or a psychological intolerance for a mask.
And I assume the population of summer school is quite a bit lower than our normal population. Does that have the ability for us to say, well, look, there's only 10% of the kids are there, so we can keep them far enough apart where masks aren't necessary? Or
that would be lovely. That's what would have been prior to the April 9th change in the state guidance, when they decreased the minimum space between students from 6 to 3 feet in areas with low transmission. They also added, and masks shall always be worn while you are participating in instruction. Prior thereto, if students were sitting more than 6 feet or 6 feet apart, they actually were permitted to not have masks on at the desks at school. But when things are hot, there's also other considerations, such as taking prolonged and expanded mask breaks and going outside even for learning purposes, as opposed to being inside a classroom if it's going to be a form over substance issue as to the location where learning is taking place. But it is a concern that should validly exist as we go into summer, to the extent that the guidance doesn't change. It could be very uncomfortable to be in a mask indoors all day.
And what happened?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, to be specific, if we basically said, thanks for all the guidance, we're doing our own thing on masks, what is our risk? What's our exposure?
You broke out.
Sorry.
What the call of your question is what broke from my computer. I think my network is unstable. I'm sorry.
So if we basically said, thanks for all the guidance, but we're going to do what we feel is right for Millbrook Central School District, and we figured it, like we came up with our own do this. What is our exposure? Is it lawsuits from the state? Is it one of our children actually gets COVID and then we get sued because we didn't have a mask on them? What's our exposure if we went down that path?
Thank you for repeating. I appreciate it. It's multifaceted. The first tier of exposure would likely be an immediate phone call followed up by a letter from either the governor or the director of the New York State Department of Health, and a threat of sanctions if you don't immediately comply. That's what happened to at least one school district between Sunday and Monday, when there was an attempt for a board to defy what was the current state of the guidance and is still the current state of the guidance. And the other exposures that you pointed out could possibly exist as well. So it is a lot of liability, and one that I wouldn't take on lightly because of the different statutes and regulations that govern school districts and the fiduciary duty of a board.
I mean, the
Julian-
chances. So go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, with that being said, if we simply allowed the parents to make the decision and write the letter, there's no recourse.
That's something to take up with your school district medical inspector.
No, I'm just saying, as far as from the legal side of it, it's up to us to decide the burden of proof as far as what mental issue, medical issue, that type of thing. I understand. I mean, it's just, it's weird.
Yes, at a basic level. Yes, I agree with your statement.
And I think those who know me, I've been the most conservative person throughout this whole thing and taken it very seriously. But, you know, we hit 70% today, and they could sell out arenas, but we can't send our kids to school without a mask. It is pretty incredible, but.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I mean, the chances of anything useful coming out of the state in the next, 8 days to have any effect on this semester or this school year is pretty low. But I can't imagine us having to force kids through the entire summer to wear masks indoors. I mean, I guess, is summer school primarily in the high school? Maybe that's our answer, is we only have it in high school?
Harry, it's not typically been in the high school, but we have used the rooms that have air conditioning for that exact reason.
All right. I mean, maybe that's our fallback position, is we will only have summer school in rooms where there's air conditioning.
Sounds like a good
All right,
idea.
all right.
Unless
Well,
they lift their mandate.
So any idea, Julie, of, I know this is a stupid question, but when we'll get the next round of useless information?
On a Friday evening, right before the end of the school year, probably. When you spoke about what you just did, maybe they would at least consider changes for summer school based on the very real concerns that do exist as the weather gets hotter. And if you could accommodate all of the students in need of summer school in the high school in just air-conditioned rooms, that would be great. But if it's a matter of not being able to do that, especially, that's a very compelling basis for a letter to advocate for a change, at least in the near term, while they continue to study the data and the science.
I mean, in the consent agenda, we are going to draft that letter and send it to the state. I mean, the worst thing in the world would be, we come back in September and they won't change it. Then we're right back, because there's hot days in September.
Oh yeah.
And we're right back into the same nonsense. So, all right. I mean, unless anybody has any other questions about masks.
I just want to thank you, Julie, for being here. And I do want to acknowledge that it's been hard on everybody, the board, the families, the community, our kids. And so we're going to continue following the guidance, but working with families if they want to seek a mask exemption. We're happy to help them through the process and get to a solution that's good satisfying for them and for their child. So, and just two other items that I have the gazebo conversation. We had just two heavy conversations. So let's talk about the gazebo for a moment. During the past board meeting, we discussed that the village and the district engaged in a local firm to complete a survey of the area surrounding the gazebo. The results of that survey yield that the entirety of the gazebo lands on district property, not what we thought in the past where we might have been sharing it with the village. We have received a quote of approximately $53,000 to rebuild the gazebo. We also have a quote of $7,800 to level the currently existing gazebo and restore the area to grass. So possible next steps to inform the Board of Education discussions and decisions in the future may include contacting the State Historic Preservation Office to determine any responsibilities with regard to the historic nature of the gazebo, and speaking to council, hi Julie, about options from their perspective. So it can be a future conversation, just looking for direction as to what the board would like to know more about, or for us to explore, or a firm direction. So.
I mean, that gazebo is, I mean, it's cute, but it's useless. I mean, you can't put enough people in there to, to have a little concert. There's there's no place to really sit in there. It doesn't have some amazing view. It's just, in my eyes, I mean, I know it's been around here as long as I've been around here, but it's useless. I don't know why we would ever spend $50,000 to rebuild something that, other than kids, sliding cars across the concrete floor, you never see anyone using it. And if it's all on our property, I mean, we definitely have to, I think, talk to State Historic Preservation Office, because God only knows what condition it's in. But if we were going to put 50,000 into building that, we could probably replace it with a bigger one that could actually be used for something for the kids. So that's my opinion.
I don't think one quote's really enough to get a good idea. I mean, somebody could be just throwing something at the wall and not wanting the job. I don't know what went into that, but sounds a little awfully high to me.
Yeah. So how many did we only get one?
Lower than that, significantly.
Did we only get one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we probably should get more, but I mean,
you should have at least three. You should have at least 3 quotes, and then to move forward. That's normally what's done in, is good government. So, I would ask that we get 2 more quotes for, for rebuilding and actually rebuilding, moving it if possible, and just destruction.
I mean, I thought repair was involved, not total restoration or total rebuilding.
Well, I know, you're right. Perry's right. He may, if we're going to do something, we would put it somewhere else. That's not the prettiest spot where it overlooks the back end.
John, from our understanding, it's not really repairable. We'd have to restore it from top to bottom. That's from my understanding in the facilities committee. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
So its structure and roof is not good.
Right.
If anything does go back, it has to go back maybe in a different spot as well, because when people are sitting there, they need the shade. I see a lot of people coming with umbrellas and like those pop-up tents. So whatever, if we do decide, let's think about in the future of having it usable, maybe with a slanted roof and so on and so forth, so people can sit and enjoy other people playing tennis, because it is very busy there on the weekends and, afternoons.
Well, it doesn't even have to be there. I mean, you look at the Y field. I mean, you could put up something that's twice as big that wouldn't even be noticed out at the far, the head of the Y field, and it could be used for, the concerts, the jazz band, there's so many things that we could do, but we first need to figure out what to do with this thing.
Hey, Perry, you might want to explain what the Y field means, because you and I know what the Y field is. Most people may not.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm starting to show age again. The big field that's out by Elm Drive, by the school, so it's sort of a baseball diamond shaped field. There was actually an old diamond there at one time, but all that grass belongs to the school district. And the kids have their what do you call it? Field day. Thank you. They have field days there. I mean, maybe it'd be a great place to actually have some outdoor stuff with our, on the weekends, during the week with the kids. But the first thing we got to do is figure, before that thing falls in on somebody, figure out, is it really 50 grand to rebuild it? Is it really $8 grand to just bulldoze the thing? But I think, and then we really need to figure out, is there some sort of, because you never know. I mean, somebody could have filed it as a historic structure, and then we'd be in trouble. But
the other thing too is I know there were discussions about this, and maybe the answer is not appropriate for the public here details, but maybe the village has interest in it in some way.
I think they met with the mayor, and they were basically, the idea was that they have no money to participate, was my understanding. I wasn't at the call, but
I guess what I'm saying is if we're not interested in, after we get another quote or two, maybe we should be going back and saying, how are they interested?
Well, and I think,
otherwise, no one's interested. I get it. So
yeah, I think, and making sure that people in the village and town know if we decide to tear it down, that, I just can picture this. Oh my God, they got rid of our gazebo. Feedback. It's been there since I was a child, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we need to, there's a lot more work to be done. I did hear that the Bennett stuff had been approved. So, maybe we reach out to them and say, here's a chance if you want it to move it. Because that was one of the original thoughts, was moving the band shell from the other building. But anyway, I think we need to put some more work into this, but I'm really afraid of that thing sitting there too much longer. And has anybody heard, even putting it there for people to watch tennis, if we don't do something with the tennis court soon, there might not be tennis to watch. Not that those are not ours. So, all right. So why don't, let's see if we can get some more estimates, see if we can't get some feedback from historic preservation, and see if we can't get, I'm trying to think who the right person to reach out to, but if we can get some feedback from the Bennett folks, is this something they want to roll into part of the park? But I don't even know, with the condition it's in, I'm not even sure you could move it without it collapsing. So anyway, all right.
Okay.
Unless there's other
And
questions.
then just lastly, I have, are there more questions about the gazebo? Okay, I'll get those
I think we're good.
through 3 data points for you. And just lastly, the Millbrook Library was facilitating community conversations throughout the community. And I attended the one last Saturday. It took place at the Fountains in Millbrook. And these sessions, quote unquote, from the Millbrook Library, these sessions are meant to help us all understand our community better and to forge a better way of getting things done together. At this particular session, there were about 10 in attendance, plus 2 facilitators, actually 1 facilitator and a note taker. We spoke about the library, transportation, diversity, distribution of information, as well as the history of Millbrook's, horses, reading, and more. They were a great group of people. They were all residents of the Fountains. What I heard loud and clear from the residents at the Fountains was that they would love to have more opportunities to spend with students. I understand that these residents have attended school functions in the past and would like to resume that, as well as explore other ways we can connect with these residents. The library said they would have a full report with everybody's information, feedback, ideas, recommendations, and a full report by the end of August. They said, don't hold them to it, but that's their goal. So that'll be interesting information. And once I get it, or once the community gets it, hopefully the conversations will continue and see how we truly become stronger and united. So if I hear anything, I'll keep you posted. And that's all I have to report.
Very good.
Very-
Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't get the chance to hit unmute fast enough about the letter to the governor. I think there are a couple of good points that probably should be part of this letter. It would help if we ask about, more timely summer school thought than not mentioning it. Maybe they'll take a cue. And the other thing is about the word, about timely. What is timely? Nobody expects anything to come 2 weeks ahead of time, but on a Friday, late Friday or a Sunday, that's just not right. And it's chronic. So there needs to be some sort of encouraging words about that.
Okay.
I agree, John. This has been the last, year and a half, going on, has been probably the most painful period of, I think we're going to do this. Oh, no, we can't, because now we got to do that. And it's always, like you said, it's, Sunday afternoon, it's Friday night. It's and the depth of explanation is the other one. You can't use terms like, this, private decision or, say medical issue without, some sort of documentation on what the hell you're talking about.
It's done without getting into politics. It's done for political reasons and has nothing to do with the kids, the care and the health and well-being of our children. Other states have not done anything, and their schools went off and the numbers didn't make a difference. So, but it is what it is.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right.
Thank you,
All
Laura,
right, so we'll
for
go on.
bringing that letter forth. I think I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in and say, and if anyone else out there is listening and wants to contact somebody up there, please.
And that's what I always say, the more voices they hear from, the more likely they are to actually do something. And I know that there are a lot of different organizations that have been lobbying tirelessly to try to affect some sort of change. And I do think that that Friday afternoon special letter was a very weak attempt to try to give a hope to people, but it should not have been done the way it was. A letter from the state to the CDC on a Friday afternoon, assuming that the government at the federal level would get back to New York by Monday morning, is a tough place to put people in. And then managing expectations of the community is a tough place to put superintendents and boards of education in. So the more people say things about the health and welfare and safety of the children, the more likely they are to actually do something. And I still think we have to try. Everyone.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, do next section for new business. Financial warrants. Oh, Jesus, I do that every time. Financials and warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? All right. All right, the next part is to review the latest version of our organizational chart. It's more about, it's not so much this is exactly where this is and this is exactly who it is. It's more of us. We've been attempting to, for some time now, put ourselves in a much better position from the standpoint of focus, the ability to focus on specific things, the ability to cross boundaries. Technology needs money, teaching or education needs technology. The ability for us to put ourselves, after everything we've learned in the last 18 months, on how this district, where are the issues in the district? Where do we need to allow people to put more focus? So with that, it should be in, I think it's in the public view. But Laura, did you want to take us through that?
Want me to walk you through it? Is that what you're asking?
Sure.
Sure. So it starts at the Board of Education, and then the superintendent of schools, and it wings out to administrative assistant, which is Cheryl, and the district officials, district clerk, secretary to the Board of Education, treasurer, tax collector, claims auditor, and then there's communications. We have that web manager. And then next here is
Laura, can I interrupt a second? Are you able to share this so everybody can see it in case the people are watching haven't seen it? Are you able to share?
Cheryl, can you do that? Thanks for that suggestion, Claudia.
Just give me 1 minute.
Sorry, guys, I have to go to a lot of moves to get there. Yep, Elliot, can you grab it? Because I don't see it coming up on my options.
Cheryl, I just need sharing rights and I'm ready to go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll start again. Top tier is the Board of Education, then the Superintendent of Schools, and then it branches out to the Administrative Assistant, and then the other side, the District Official, District Clerk, the Secretary to the Board of Education, District Treasurer, Tax Collector, Claims Auditor, and Communications. That's our website manager. And then on the next tier, you'll see some differences here. A Personnel Assistant starting from the left, Personnel Assistant, School Lunch Manager, Director of Facilities, Director of Technology and Data Services report directly to me. And then another tier next to that is Deputy of Superintendent, which is proposed a new title and appointment. And below that is the Supervisor of Data Analytics and Professional Development, which is a new position. And then building leaders, athletic director, teachers, instructional support staff. And then underneath the deputy superintendent as well is the assistant superintendent for business, finance, and operations. And then under that position is business office staff and transportation services. Also, we have CSE chairperson and psychologists, nurses, and school counselors reporting to building principal, CSE chairperson reporting to the deputy superintendent. Any questions about this?
Yes, question for you, Laura.
Sure.
What's the dotted line stand for from assistant superintendent for business and finance up and over through the board to the superintendent board?
The district treasurer, tax collector, and claims auditor, is that the one you're talking about, Howard?
Well, the dotted line.
It's just showing a connection that those folks are within that business office. And then that dotted line, the psychologists, nurses, and school counselors, they report to the deputy superintendent, but it's almost shared supervision with the building principals.
Okay, well, you're right. I see the other ones are separate. Okay, and under communications, the web manager how come that position's kind of off where it is?
So I think there's an area of growth there. It's in sort of stage there for future conversations around communication. We know that we have often talked, since my time here, we've often talked about how to improve communication, whether it's through more social media, updating our website is what we're doing right now. But there are other things that we should be doing so that we're reaching everybody and that they have all of the information to be informed taxpayers, as well as people who want to come and join us in our events, our performances, want to volunteer. And so we want to build that area. And so I felt like it was good to stage it there with the hope to have future conversations about possibly growing it.
All right, thank you.
I mean, for the people in the public that are seeing this, maybe for the first time, it's really, the last couple of years have taught us that we have, merged a lot of things. Well, you're this, but could you do this too? Could you do that too? And what has happened with all of the regulations and commandments and it's we can't do these things with a tenth of a person that's also dedicated to 6 other things. We also have to have plans in place for, if something happens to someone, we need to know who can take over, who's ready to, you know what I mean? We did get rid of or we're proposing to eliminate the assistant superintendent title of education and special education. So it's not adding a position in there, but it's allowing for things that in the past we sort of tucked, especially things like HR. The requirements today on, not just onboarding, offboarding, but the technology requirements that go behind that, the things that have to be done and taken off a checklist that you have to be sure, the relationship with law enforcement. I mean, there's so many things that have just forced us to really streamline and optimize our overall organization. So any other comments from folks? So I need to get out.
Well, I still have another one, Perry. Where is Laura? Where does the current human resources go? The workers' comp, the health benefits.
Well, I think I want to talk about, I guess, right now it lives in the business office. And from my understanding, and maybe Cheryl can explain it a little bit more, is that the auditors came in and they recommended sort of the checks and balances structure so that there are certain business office or certain activities that are happening that have to be spread across offices so that there's a certain checks and balances. And Cheryl, I'm kind of flubbing this up, but I don't know if you want to sort of explain that piece.
So Howard, I'm sorry, could you just repeat the first portion of your question? Because I missed that first.
Okay. I asked the superintendent who referred it to you, where does the current human resources, going to be, including the workers' comp and the current health services, which was under or still is. Well, why don't you tell me where it is?
Yeah, so human resources is in a few different areas. So I do a big chunk of human resources. And then for the workers' comp piece, that is definitely in the business office. And then the health insurance piece is also in the business office. So when people come in and fill out new paperwork, they get their forms to enroll in their health insurance. And that's part of the business office at the moment. So part of that, what Laura was speaking to was there was a time, and goes back to when I first started working here, I was the one person that you would come to and I would do all of those things. I would enroll people, I would get everybody on board and do the payroll and do all of the things. And so our auditors over time came in and broke out and did a separation of duties so that one person wasn't doing all of the things. So it was broken out. And because we're so small, human resources was part of that, where it was broken out to different people doing different things. So it wasn't all just one person, which put us at risk. So that's fine.
So Caroline, Oh, so good. No, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were.
I apologize, Howard, I'm not always going to have the answer to your question because I lack the historical or institutional memory. So I too am still learning about where things
I
have
understand.
been placed and where
For
they're
whatever
coming
reason, you had this, you had it on when we were doing work that I can't go into because it was done in executive. We saw charts that had things mentioned that I just asked about. And on this chart, they do not appear. And that's why I'm wondering what happened to them.
So those pieces were, we added those extras just to show what other, beyond the organizational chart, which is, this is a traditional organizational chart and it wouldn't typically have those extras, but we wanted to give you, I wanted to give you an idea of the extras that people do. And those are usually assigned during the reorg meeting in July. And so we just removed that because this is going to go in our policy book, in our policy binder.
Okay, and you explained it. Thank you.
So Caroline, just for the public and well, for the public, I know you summarized very well the purpose and also the funding behind the supervisor of data analytics and professional development, that this was a new position, but not really. And I'll stop there and maybe you can just give a quick summary of that.
Sure. So a couple of different items are coming together for the creation of this one particular position. Some may be familiar with the idea that we had hired a technology integration specialist, I believe it was called, this past school year. That person then vacated the position mid-year. So that is one portion of the funding. Another portion of this funding is that much of the state reporting data was a couple of years back, and I'll forget the exact date. It was outsourced to the Mid-Hudson Regional Information Center. So that COSER is actually being narrowed in its scope, which will leave much of the data reporting responsibilities back on the district. Additionally, with the introduction of pre-K, we'll have a significant increase in the reporting data that we will need to provide. As well, the candidate that we are seeking, their skill set will be to provide other technology related professional developments. So we're actually taking some funding from what may have been paid out to other vendors, and also the position that was the technology integration specialist this past year. And with the combination of those positions, we're able to create this supervisor of data analytics that will be able to support data reporting and also professional development here in the district.
Good. Okay, thank you, Caroline. Any other questions on this? Okay. Now I have to do this right. Hang on. So we're going to go to, or we're going to ask for a motion to go to a short executive session. But before I do, I want to make it clear that before we go into this executive session, we may return from it and take action that's related to the items we discuss in the executive session. So, you know, that we may actually have to add a specific or not an ad, but go into making decisions that are sort of determined during the executive session. With that, do I have a motion to as described?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. Any comments?
Can you give the public a range of time you think we'll be doing this?
I would think this is probably more than 15 minutes and less than 30.
Thank you.
All right. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay. All right, Cheryl, do your thing. I think we need Laura, Julie, the board, of course, and Caroline, I think. Oops, I gotta go.
If you see breakout room 1, please ignore it and everybody else can go into breakout room 2. Sorry, Cheryl, it was 9:40, Jen, motion, Chris second, all in favor to return. Okay.
All right, let's go to where the heck is my thing? There we go. All right, so we need, help me out, Julie. We need a motion to amend the existing agenda for the, to add the motion on the deputy superintendent. Is that right? So I'll have a motion.
I'll
Do I
make
have
the
a
motion.
Thank you, Jen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any against?
Aye. I'd rather nay. I did want to explain something about my my nay vote. I am not saying no for the capabilities of the individual, nor the roles and responsibilities. It's more
John,
about.
John,
Yes?
we just amended the agenda to put that motion on.
Oh, I'm
We're
sorry.
not actually doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
We
Okay.
also,
when
we
it,
lost
when it comes
Howard.
to time, when it comes to time, I'll say something.
Yeah.
Do
All
we,
right, so-
Perry, do we need everyone? Because we lost Howard.
No,
Right?
I'm in the
Oh, it's
corner.
Howard again?
No,
Where is he?
Oh, Howard's here.
He's there.
I don't see him.
Maybe on the
Next page.
other screen. Go-
He's with Willy Wonka.
Yeah, go to the next
Oh,
page.
there you are.
There you go. All
Now I
right,
see you.
so,
Sorry.
I think I did all in favor, right? Yeah, okay, good. So then the motion, do I have the, or maybe you can read the motion for me, Julie? I don't know if I have it.
Hold on, I just emailed it to you, but it might not have
Oh,
been, so
all right,
I
hold on,
can.
hang on.
Okay.
Hopefully it's here. Yep. All right, we have a resolution to abolish the position of Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction and Pupil Personnel Services, to create the position of Deputy Superintendent of Schools, to adopt job description for Deputy Superintendent of Schools, and to reassign Caroline Hernandez Padala to the position of Deputy Superintendent of Schools. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, for reasons of economy and efficiency, hereby abolish the position of Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction and Pupil Personnel Services, effective close of business on June 30th, 2021, And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby creates the position of Deputy Superintendent of Schools effective July 1st, 2021. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the job description for the Deputy Superintendent of Schools as presented to the board at this meeting. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby reassigns Caroline Hernandez-Padala to the position of Deputy Superintendent of Schools within the tenure area of Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Pupil Personnel Services effective July 1st, 2021, in accordance with the provisions of Education Law, Section 3013, Section 1, at an annual salary of $168 for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Okay. Is there discussion and or questions?
Yes, thank you. Sorry I spoke out of turn there.
No, it's all right, John.
So I agree with the abolishment. I agree with the position. I'm going to be saying nay to this because nothing to do with the capabilities of the person nominated and nor the roles and responsibilities of the position. But I just I disagree about the compensation arrangement, and I didn't really get sufficient notice nor preparation time on this for such a key position. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against?
Nay.
Okay. Vote carried 6-1. All right. Very good. Next on the agenda, I'm bouncing around here. Return of create position. All right. Item number was I5. I guess it's I6 now. To create the position and appoint supervisor of data analytics and professional development. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Chris, do I have a second?
Second.
Paul, thank you. All right, comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any against? Very good. All right, next is the creation of the position for personnel assistance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Claudia?
I'll second.
Jen? All right, any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, very good. All right, I think it's now section I8 and I9. The first reading of policy number 4321.2. It's our first reading. Do I have a motion? Oh, no, we don't need a motion, right?
Not for first reading.
No. Okay, any comments or concerns or questions about this? Okay, and just real quick, the reason these are new and needed to be because of legal review, this is why we pulled these two out. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. The next one is the first reading of 4321.4. Any comments or questions or concerns about that? Okay. All right. Cheryl, did you send me the questions?
I did. There was two, but I believe you answered that.
Let me just take a quick look. At least I think I'm going to take a quick look. Come on, what are we doing here? Oh, there we go. All right, sorry. All right, we have from Pamela McCarthy Parsons, New York State is now open. When will the board make the switch back to in-person public meetings? I sent an email responding to this earlier. The state is still allowing, they just extended the ability, ability to have remote meetings until July 5th. I believe, until the state tells us that we have to go back, just to try to keep our staff and board members and audience as safe as possible, we're going to follow the guidance from the state, or follow the, whatever you want to call it, from the state. I do know some boards have gone back. I've also seen, there's boards that don't go back. I can't really speak to those, but that's the plan for us. And is the board going to have the backs of parents who want the mask mandate lifted for schools? Quite honestly, Pamela, it's a good question. We want you to, write and scream and yell and do anything you can to convince the state to at least clarify, the sort of opt-out criteria. We already, as we described earlier, we're going to put a draft letter, which I would like to see us extend to make sure it specifically calls out summer school, and will this be resolved before the summer school begins? But we would absolutely encourage all of our parents and staff and anybody to write to the governor, write to the health department, and try to help us get some clarity and get some action. And that's the only two questions we have. All right, now I'm gonna get back to the agenda. Dutchess County School Board Association report. Really, we had our last meeting of the year. It was mostly focused on areas in which we would like to see for the 21-22 school year, subjects that we want to see driven forward. We also did, as I said earlier, had some really good discussion with the with the new superintendent for BOCES. I think we really have some positive changes coming in the future. Anyway, next is the enrollment report. It's there for your entertainment. I don't know if there's any comments on it. But anyway, the facilities report, May 21. Oh, that's a Word document. Do we have anybody's going to, is there something we want to talk about with this? Oh, that's not the right one. What is this? Oh, there it is. Do we have anything we want to point out about this? Oh, I see that we had, we're getting the touchless faucets installed. Very good.
Finally, I saw one being done in Elm. I thought that was supposedly done back in September.
It was, or the original commitment was to get it done before we opened school on November 4th.
Why there's one that wasn't done.
Oh no, it says they did 9, 5 at the high school, 4 at the middle school, and 1 at Elm. I don't know how many we have left. I know we had some recently had some issues in different schools with our sewage systems. I really think that one of the things that we need to put specific focus on is having professional, I'll call it preventative maintenance, you know, not just on the sewer systems, but the air conditioning that, you know, we had the air conditioner go out on the hottest day. We really need to get a much more, you know, sort of like you would do at your house. You do the maintenance, have somebody come in and do the maintenance, make sure it's, you know, everything's up to speed. But, and then my favorite part, the oil usage for May, 1,600 gallons. Wow. All right, any questions, comments on that? MEF report, Chris?
Just to say the Taste to Go is a success, and we thank everyone for participating. And we look forward to next year, and hopefully we can do Taste of Millbrook and get back to normal.
I talked to a couple of people. They said that, you know, this sort of altered format, they actually liked it. That was a good job by the MEF. Good, you know, flexibility.
I'll thank Chris. She's on the call. She did a lot as well. So our new board member.
Well, we can't, you see, you don't want to get her in the habit of hearing praise. Sorry, Chris. PTO report, Jen?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like a newscaster. This just in. So they had an in-person book fair at Alden, and she said they had like 167 people, which was awesome. The discount cards are back. I think the latest one the one that was sent out previously expired in June. So like just check your expiration. They do have new cards that have a new expiration date on them. They are going to be voting. It's going to be a live voting meeting June 21st. It's going to be in person, but I think they're going to have a virtual component also that you could do. I believe it's at the Alden Library. There's some open positions. Just stuff that we kind of went over, like the staff that's retiring, they got them flowers. I can't say who, but someone won the PTO scholarship, $1,000. It's a senior at the high school. I actually don't know who it is, so I can't even tell you. She said that they're really ramping up the PTO and trying to make it very fresh and, you know, inviting for everybody. They have a lot of good ideas for next year. They did amend some bylaws, and if you go on the school website, there is a part you can scroll down and see the PTO and look for things there. And there was one thing on there that I wanted to point out. At Elm and at Alden, there are these bins where you can put gently used clothing and shoes and things like that. It says US again. I think the one at Alden, and correct me if anybody knows where it is, it might be across the street from Alden, so it's actually not on school grounds. Yeah. I would love to see that get moved onto school grounds. I don't know if people know that it's there or don't know it's there, but I did not realize, and you can see on the website that when you do donate stuff there, the PTO does get monies from that. So I've oftentimes heard parents or people asking, oh, I have shoes or clothes or whatever from my kids. They don't know where to donate them. This is great. I see it at Elm all the time, and I put stuff in there, and I never knew that it could actually, come back to help us. So if anyone's listening and they want to donate stuff to those two bins, it's a great thing to do. And it does get, this money in the end is going to go back to PT, not all of it, they get a portion of it, which I thought was really, really nice. And we just talked about some of the things that they get to do with the money. They, supplying the cake and decorations for the Alden moving up ceremony, things like that. So they're very excited they're going to have a meeting over the summer to start getting ready for next year. And, involvement is wonderful. If anybody wants to get involved with it, they would love people to be involved. And it's nice to see what they have on the website. I had never really looked there before. So, and that's it.
Very good. Thanks, Jen. All right. The superintendent's mileage, none at this time. Suspension incident report. I don't think it's even in here. I'm hoping that means there aren't any.
Right, we're good right now.
Okay, good. All right, request for future agenda items. We definitely, we need to have some serious discussion on the internship program, whether we're gonna do it, how we're gonna fix it, those things. Of course, our organizational meeting is on July 6th. For those that don't know, that's where we elect our officers. That's where we look for volunteers for all of the many subcommittees that help determine, the future aspects of the board, of the district, I should say. So it's a very important meeting. Our technology plan, I think we were supposed to see that second meeting in July. Actually, before I go on, Cheryl, one thing that at least that when I looked today, there were no meetings on my calendar for past, like, maybe next week. So
Yeah,
all
I'll update the year. I haven't done the calendar yet for that, Perry, but I'll.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I don't know if anybody has any comments about that. One thing I would like to see before the summer is over is the status. So we're focused on this long-term financial plan, just an interim checkpoint to, make sure that we've got all the skill, we've got all the knowledge, we've got all the data we need. I think that would be, so if we can maybe do that in August. All right. I don't think there's anything in there. All right. So same comment. We were going to go into, or it's proposed to go into executive session for two discussions. One is the discussion on the MTA contract negotiations, and the other is to look at the non-union managerial and confidential staff salaries. We may come back to the public session for action if something does come out of those. So with that, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? All right, very good. Send us away, Cheryl.
Is Julie coming into exec session right now?
Yes.
Okay, and then David will come in after Julie?
Or David can, David can come in now, really.
Okay. In a minute.
It's not going to hurt us.
All right.
But oops, shit, I guess I should.
Ignore everything that I'm doing right now until I let you know to go in, okay? Please.
Mm-hmm. So is that the one we want, Cheryl?
No.
Number one?
No.
Okay.
Don't do
So not now.
But before we go to our board member elects, I don't know how long we're going to be gone for. So, and when we come back, we may take some actions or we may not. So if you would like to sign off or hang around, it's up to you.
We'll understand.
We understand. Sometimes we go to midnight. So whatever you
Those
like.
are those are on the short
Good point,
day.
Howard. Thanks for saying
All
that.
right.
Okay, so you should see, it, right? You see them?
Yep, I got to room 2. Thank you.
You don't see it, Jen?
I don't see it either.
see it. I don't see it either, Cheryl.
At least we got rid of Perry.
You don't see it either, Chris?
No, I don't.
All right.
I said not now for breakout room 1, and I do see it, so.
No, hold on. You should be in breakout room 2.
I do see a breakout room, so I'm going there, but now. Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Bye, John.
I didn't see either one, Cheryl, if that helps.
I don't see it either.
What? All right. Okay, you see breakout room 2, Chris, now?
No, I see the hosts have moved me to breakout room 2, but I don't see an option pop up like it normally does. Let me see. Join breakout room. It's on the left-hand side. Let me try that. All right. Well, that popped up when I hit that. So try that, Jen.
Do you see it, Jen? Rick and Elliot, I think you guys should be good unless you want to hang out for another 2 or 3 hours.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Always appreciate
I'll
the
call
offer,
you
but
back,
that's,
but I think you're good.
All right.
that's a hard pass. You guys
Right.
have a great
Good
night.
night. Good night, guys.
Good night.
All right.